of the atomic bombs in Japan when we were finishing up our study of World War II, and decided to have them have a discussion about it as you would normally do in a classroom. But instead of just talking it out, I decided to do it in Fishbowl fashion using Twitter. So we were very lucky in Arlington this year that we got a donation of Chromebooks, 30 Chromebooks, and the kids have had access to them, and we've had Wi-Fi put into the library, so it was pretty easy to get the kids going. I did have to have them sign up for Twitter accounts, which with high school kids is pretty easy to do. Most of them already had Twitter accounts. And we did have to have access to devices for all the kids. Since we had that, they had Twitter, and we had the Wi-Fi. It was really easy. What I did was I assigned the kids each a set of questions in advance. I broke my 30 kids into 4 groups and assigned each of the groups about 3 or 4 questions apiece for the discussion. Then I took one group, put them in the center circle with no laptops, and then took the other 3 groups and put them around the outside circle with laptops, with me at the front of the room with an interactive whiteboard so that I could have the Twitter feed scrolling on the interactive whiteboard at the front of the room at all times. So the kids in the center circle would talk about their questions that they were assigned, while the outer circle kids would tweet their opinions on the questions and questions they had about the kids' discussions. And then they could see the scrolling Twitter feed and be able to answer those questions of the class, keeping it very controlled, only having about 7 or 8 kids actually speaking at a time, and they were speaking on prepared questions. Then obviously after a set number of minutes, in this case we did 10 minutes a group, I would rotate the inner circle out and group 2 would come in, and then group 2 would go out and group 3 would come in, and so on until all the questions had been discussed. There was one final question where everyone had a laptop, and it was the morality, and people were just tweeting back and forth based on the conversation. So that's the general how did it work, the tweeting in response. Sorry, I forgot I had that slide. One thing that we did really have to do was create a hashtag in order to get the scrolling going. So for our hashtag, we used something called AHSAPush, Arlington High School AP US History. Everyone hashtagged at the end of their comments so that I could search in Twitter by the hashtag and have that scrolling at all times. One thing we really should have reminded the kids of a little bit more, remembering that they are 17 years old, is that their comments are visible by the world. For our first attempt at this, it went really well, but they were really silly for the first 5 or 10 minutes until they got into the groove, just kind of enjoying the fact that they were allowed to tweet during class. You know, they did certainly get a little silly. So did it work? Yeah, it did. This is just a screen grab of something that was going on while we were talking about it, and it's cute because the kids have continued posting some random things after using the same hashtag, knowing that their classmates are looking. But they really did have a good time. They were good about tagging each other in their comments. If they had a specific question for someone in the center circle, they would tag that particular person and then make their comment and then put the hashtag in. And it did go really, really well. A couple of things that we could have improved. If you're going to do this in a wide open space, we learned very quickly that we needed a sound system. Remember, kids have very low voices compared to teachers, and they did not speak loudly enough for the outer circle to hear at all times. So that was a really big problem, however, one that my wonderful instructional technologist and librarian got together with and have already ordered a microphone system for the next time we do this, which we will be doing on Reaganomics next time. And another thing that we realized really quickly was that if the kids didn't follow my instructions in advance, I had set up a Google Doc asking the kid to put their real name and their Twitter name on the Google Doc prior to the conversation so that everybody could follow each other in advance. A few kids failed to do that, and as a result, their Twitter accounts remained relatively private. I could see what they were posting, but not the rest of the class because I was following them, but everyone wasn't following them, and they were good and made privacy settings. We should applaud them for that. But by doing that, we couldn't see all of their comments. So if you're going to do this really in advance, you need to make sure that the kids all follow each other, that they all come in prepared. My kids all came in with Twitter accounts. They all came in with their questions ready. They did not come in all following each other. So a lot of comments were not shown on the IWB throughout the discussion. But that was really the only 2 glitches we hit as we went through this. So, any questions? Yeah?
Why did you choose Twitter over, say, like Back Channel?
I actually used it because I saw a New York Times article just touting how well it worked in New York City public schools, that one teacher in New York City had piloted it, and it had made the Times, and I was like, hey, let's try it. see how it goes. And the kids are all on Twitter. They know how Twitter works. They're not learning a new medium, because it's amazing how popular Twitter is getting with the kids.
How did you feel about the kids using their own private Twitter?
A lot of them made a school Twitter because they didn't want their public Twitter to be involved.
Do you think your system would ever open it up so that each student had their own school Twitter accounts?
Jeff? I mean, we did just get them all Gmail accounts, so maybe they could, maybe it would be simple enough to link it in and create a Twitter account to go with the Gmail. But a lot of them actually came to me and said, I have a public Twitter, I don't want it to be involved in this conversation, can I make a separate Twitter? I said, I did. I have a public, I have a school. So certainly do that. A lot of kids didn't already have Twitters, and it's cute because they're not using it. My kids are really good. I can't say enough nice things about them, but they're not using it inappropriately on their own time.
That public-private thing, that's a conversation we're really trying to have with kids this year. It's, keep a public space, keep a private space, and keep them separate.
We're working on it.
We are.
It's hard because their lives are starting to overlap a little too much. Anything else? Yeah.
Did you have to clear anything? Did you have to clear anything with the school about them?
No. I mean, my principal came and watched it, so I guess she was okay with it. The deans were there watching. I mean, this was an AP class, so you're expecting pretty good behavior to begin with. They liked it a lot. They really want to do another one, and the school's really excited that we're using the Wi-Fi and the Chromebooks for something whole class oriented. So as long as they're behaving on it and there's no inappropriate comments, the school's fine with it.
Yeah. What was the advantage of using Twitter versus doing just a regular carousel discussion?
I have 30 kids in an advanced placement class. This got all of them talking. They all put in a minimum of 10 comments throughout the conversation. So I got to hear from all of them. I do something similar. I do a weekly Google group with them anyway, because with 30 kids in the class, it's hard to hear from everybody on a daily basis. So they're used to being required to participate in an online forum. This was just kind of amping it up and making it all within the 50-minute period instead of giving them a week. I think I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.